Hey everybody, Metal Shop Steve back here. More album reviews because currently right now there's really not that much else to do. What I'm going to do is talk about the new album by a band, but then I'm also going to reach back to one of their older albums because I've never really talked about them before, but I feel like it deserves a little bit of a mention. So the band is Eleine. They are a Swedish band, kind of progressive, melodic metal. They have a new album out, an EP actually, called All Shall Burn. And chances are, if you've been out there on YouTube, you've probably seen some of these videos. Very visually stunning, cool to look at. And you would certainly recognize the lead singer, Eleine, if you happen to see her. So this EP is actually just 5 songs, so it'll be a really quick talk. And then I'm going to go back and talk about their previous full-length album. So first of all, just to give you a little bit of background here if you don't know, Eleine, the vocalist, but also Ricard is a secondary vocalist here as well. So you get kind of a nice interplay, a little bit of mix of back and forth male-female vocals. Although she's certainly kind of the front voice of the band. His voice is very prominent as well. Jesper, Ludwig, and Anton, rest of the band. A lot of lyrics here. Lyrically, I guess they kind of fit into, more of your fantasy, goth, lyrically type of things. A lot about life and the world and downfalls and a little bit about religion and kind of losing your way and finding your way and those kind of topics lyrically throughout. So anyway, with that, let's get started here. Let's talk about it. First song, Enemies. This one has a very symphonic feel, I'd say. It's got this chugging guitar, chugging bass, drums, but then it comes in with this beautiful vocal, just kind of soaring above this loud, hammering metal that you're getting. Then there's a little bit of growling in there, just a little bit of growling. This isn't one of those bands that kind of growls constantly, so there's just a little bit of it in there. There's a nice solo in this song, and I believe also that if you know my background and the kind of stuff I like, you know that I really enjoy a good guitar solo. So they've evolved, so there's a little bit of a solo here. Overall, very, very tight sound to this album. Very tight. Everything is really played well together. It's put well together. I guess that means it's produced very well. Secondly, All Shall Burn, the title track. This one kind of has that interplay between male and female vocals as well. There's some strings in this one, keyboard probably type of strings. And there's a little bit of growling as well. Then we mix in a cover. So they covered a Rammstein song called Mein Herz brennt, which means my heart burns. So if you're familiar with the original Rammstein version of this song, you're not going to be disappointed. You're going to like it. It's pretty true to form. They put their own spin on it, obviously, but otherwise, very, very true to the song. They didn't try to change anything up too wildly. Starts out, if you're not familiar with it, in German. It's a German song. Nice, softly spoken German. And there's a growl, and then kind of the metal kicks in. Musically, it's got again that keyboard, that string sound, along with a really nice riff to it. So check that out. The last 2 songs on this EP are both symphonic versions of other songs that they've recorded. The first one, Hell Moon, which we're going to get to when we talk about the full-length album here in just a couple of seconds. Beautiful opening vocals. This one is, again, it's all symphonic. There's not really too much metal to it. It's a very beautiful, light version of Hell Moon. So we'll talk about Hell Moon in just a minute. And then also, they close out the album with a symphonic version of the title track, All Shall Burn. And again, it's just, if you ever really wanted to hear your favorite metal songs done in a symphonic way, well, there you go. So, and again, when they do the symphonic versions, they're really good at it. So I encourage you not just to skip over it because you think you're going to be bored. Do check that out because I'm of the belief that symphonic and classical music has a very direct tie to metal. in terms of all that can be put into it and all that can be done with it. So please go check that out. And here we go. So we're going to go back to 2018 to their last full-length release, which was Until the End. And this one, you know, is, again, it's a full-length album, 11 songs. So let's talk about it. Story Untold is the opener. It's got, again, this orchestral, symphonic type of opener. The riff kicks in. You've got the beautiful vocals, the growls, kind of what they really do in terms of their songs. Usually I don't pick that many favorite songs, but I actually picked 4 favorite songs on this album. The first one is Echoes, and that has kind of this driving rock sound to it over these, with soaring vocals over top of it. It's very mystical, very kind of occult, gothic type of sound, lyrically, vocally. Next up, Sanity. Again, one of my favorite songs on the album. It's really this hard riff, riffy, like it. Hard riff, growl. It's fast, and this one is pretty much strictly female vocals. Elaine's female vocals here. Then you have From the Grave. Her vocal range in this song is on full display, so you get kind of a little bit of everything she can do vocally within this track. There's a lot of strength to it, and again, soaring. That's a word that I use a lot, but you know it when you hear the vocals, that kind of soaring vocal. It's not quite power, it's not quite clean, it's soaring, it takes off. So that's where that one is. Whisper My Child is next. This one has cutting guitars, kind of a cutting guitar sound, a little bit of vocal interplay between the vocalists. And then next up, Until the End, number 3 of my 4 favorite songs on the album. This one has a kind of a progressive feel to it. Again, it's got these changes where it goes from soaring to kind of back down and quiet. If you've seen my videos, again, you know that progressive type of rock is something that I like a lot too. So I really kind of, I like when they do this. There are really thundering guitars in this one too. I like that. A lot of guitar goodness in this one. Next up, Please. It's piano. It's got this haunting vocal. It's very personal, very pleading lyrically. And just kind of a change of pace really from the rest of the songs. Another Right next. This one has, again, a gothic feel. It's got biting guitar and really, really beautiful vocals. So here's a place that I'll tell you just kind of a little bit more about Elaine's vocals. So they're not like metal, gritty, growly, aggressive kind of things. They're beautiful, but at times, and she chooses these times, where there is just this little bit of grit that comes out in her voice. I don't know what it would sound like if she did a whole album that way or more that way, but every now and then you hear her pop just a little bit of that grit, that edge into her voice. And you hear that in this song. I really like it. It's kind of a cool surprise when that comes out in the middle of a song and you're not expecting it. Next up, we have Hell Moon, which, as you remember, is the one that they did a symphonic version of on the EP that we just talked about. This one does start out symphonic, but then it's followed by this really, really aggressive riff. And the vocals are, they range from that soaring vocal to the growl and kind of a little bit of everything in between. I really like this track. I didn't pick it as one of my top, but if I was going to pick a 5th song, this would be my 5th song on the album. I really like a lot of this album. Then there's something called Prelude, which is really just an interlude, more or less, or it's a prelude to the following song, which is the last song on the album, number 4 of my favorites, Break, Take, Live. That is this one. It has a riffy opening. It has a progressive feel throughout. It's very strong lyrically, and that grit that we were talking about in Elaine's voice is here in this song. There's that grit. So probably the best place to hear that, if you want to jump right to figuring out where that's coming from, that would be this song. So the album, Until the End, again, that's the last full-length album they did, 2018. All Shall Burn is the newest EP. Again, check out the videos. I'm going to leave some links below, but I think you'll really enjoy the videos from this band as well. That's it for this review. Catch me next time for another one. Thanks.